Hey, friends. So today we are talking to the director, writer, and the voice of Dogman, Peter Hastings. Peter, thank you very much for your time today. I will say that my son reads the books. He's a huge fan of anything Dave Pilkey. So reading the books, I was used to, or I knew about the story. But watching this, I mean, I felt, even though it's animated, it felt like it was claymation in a way. So when you were creating this movie, was there a certain feel or that you wanted people to get by watching it, of how it looked, or were you just like, let's try to draw it this way and then put it out there and see what people think about it?
Well, I mean, what you're describing is exactly what we were going for. So, we'd always heard that, that Dave Pilkey loves stop motion and, claymation and that kind of thing. So we weren't going to do that, but it led it to a conversation about what is charming about that? What is the appeal of stop motion? And we want to bring some of that into this movie. So obviously the character design is really simple because we wanted to keep the sort of charm of the books present and not do a radical change on that. And then also it's animated on twos. So there's like every picture is two frames instead of one. So it's a little, it has a little stutter in it. It's barely noticeable, but it gives it a little more of a tactile feel. So it's again finding that feeling from stop motion and from something organic and handmade that we wanted to bring into it. And the same thing was true with all the design stuff, having buildings with crooked lines and missing windows and all of that kind of stuff. That again, very tactile and an extension of what was in the books, which is very simple. So it's kind of like the blown out version of the book design.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, it definitely sticks out as you watch it. Um, this is the second like Dave Pilkey project that you worked on because you've done the Captain Underpants television show. So what is it about his stories that draw you to them, that make you want to work on them?
Our sensibilities are very close, and I think one of the we both like this thing that I call intelligently silly, where it's like yes, it's totally ridiculous, but it's not really stupid. It's like smart ridiculous, and um, so it was. I love doing that and being able to do break we don't really break the fourth wall, but doing cutaway gags and doing things that are just sort of nonsense and things like that, and playing with the form, which he does and I love to do. So I was very comfortable doing all of that kind of stuff. And then Dave introduces a surprising level of heart into his books. And that to me was really, really appealing. And because emotion is really kind of what's going to pull you through a movie and make it stick a little more, make it a little less disposable if you felt something while the movie was happening. And I just love the sentiments that he puts out there in the emotional parts of the story. So all of that was just fun to work with.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where I'm laughing 1 minute, and then the next minute, like my eyes are watering up. I'm like, why am I so sad watching this? But it had like that beautiful like ebbs and flows of it, especially when learning
Yeah,
about Petey and his dad and everything that was going
yeah.
on. So I thought that was great. But speaking of Petey, I mean, you have Pete Davidson as the voice. You have Little Rel Howard in this, Isla Fisher and Ricky Gervais. How involved were you in the casting of the voices? Like, was it someone that you thought that's the perfect voice for them? And then was there like no one that, or were you just like, you know what, I'm gonna be Dogman because I don't think anyone can do Dogman as best as I can?
Well, I mean, the general casting process is that I may think of people, while I'm writing or when we start working on it. And then, of course, there's a casting department who says, here's some recommendations. What about this? What about this? What about this? And you listen to people. And not only do you need to cast that role, but you have to think about how are all those voices going to play together, almost like you were creating a band or something. And it's like, I don't want everybody to sound the same and to be the same and stuff like that. And sometimes you listen to somebody and you're like, they're great. They're awesome. So I think Little Rel Howery was like that. And he just came in and nailed it, from the get go. And then for Pete Davidson, they don't audition, but I sort of audition them by listening to as much stuff as I can and going like, is that going to work? Do they have the range? Are they funny? Did they do that? And Pete was all of those things, as well as being able to be really sweet. Um, so, and then Isla was also great because we wanted, because that character is Australian, and she is, and British as well, and so she worked out great, and she's really fun with comedy, and everybody just had a really fun time doing it. The Dogman role came about because we do what we call scratch voices, which are temporary voices before the actors have come in. So we're already working on the movie. So somebody will do the chief, somebody else, the editor does the chief, and somebody else does this guy, and somebody does this guy. And I was doing Dogman. And we thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun to do some, as they call it, stunt casting and get some giant movie star to be Dogman. And they were like, oh, that sounds interesting. And it's like, oh, by the way, you have no lines and you're just going to bark and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, good luck, so have fun. So I kind of inherited it by default. There are voice actors who do incredible dogs, but I was just like, he's kind of half man, half dog. So I think it's kind of working where it is now.
Yeah, that was perfect. I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's funny because I work in a school, and in the one classroom that I'm in, I checked their library real quick, and we have no copies of Dogman. But all the other classes, they're like packed. So, but there's like over 13 books in the series. So when you were coming down with this one story, like how much of all those books did you decide to like put into it, or were you just like, this is like an introduction to people that might not know, so let's try to keep it simple and just focus on these parts of Dogman?
I mean, I was attracted to the third book, which is called Tale of Two Kitties, because it's the introduction of Little Petey. It's the introduction of the robot, the 80 hexadron droid Formagon, or 80 HD. And it has a rich story. So there's little bits from the first book, there's a little bit from the second book, and it's mainly kind of on the third book. And then there was a piece, the grandpa story comes from a much later book. But it was just like such a strong story. I wanted to really include that part. But it's difficult because one book is not really enough for a movie, and two books is kind of too much. So and then Dave has a very free storytelling style that has to be wrangled for a movie to put it together in a movie. And then also really to make Dogman kind of more present, because Dogman, the stories aren't really about Dogman in general in the books, which Dave will admit, but as the same way that Captain Underpants is really not about Captain Underpants. Um, so I just had to, figure all that stuff out and make it work for a movie. But all the core elements and the moments, there's so many of them that it's like too much to choose from, really.
Yeah, yeah, no. Um, as a writer of the movie, I know when you're writing out the script, in your head you got the movie playing, and you're seeing it a certain way. Was there a specific scene that you wrote, and then when you saw it, like the complete scene, you were either just blown back or like that's like 10 times better than what I was imagining?
I mean, I've done so much animation that I've gotten really good at visualizing while I'm writing and what something is going to look like. But our art team and the animation team was so good. Nate Ragg is our production designer, just like completely ran with this idea of this high-end handmade look. And I was always saying it's intelligently silly, it's ridiculously cool, it's sophisticatedly innocent, and these things we could all hang on. So there's so many things that got so much more beautiful. The inside of Petey's lab is just like gorgeous, and all the stuff outside, and then all the buildings coming to life, and the whole action sequence that involves these buildings was just like I was like, oh my gosh, this looks great. I mean, this is the thing. It's like if you can say, here's what I want it to feel like, then somebody who's really skilled can get such, they'll just go so past what you were saying rather than tell them, here's exactly what I want. It really wasn't like that. It's like, here's what I want it to feel like. And then they did such a great job. Many things were like that.
Yeah, the entire movie is just fantastic. I have to wrap it up, but I do want to say I loved the Flippy Kaye, Flippy Flapper line. I thought that was hilarious. But you've done Captain Underpants and now Dogman. Is there another like Dave Pilkey project that you would want to work on next, or you're going to see where this goes?
No, we're going to see where this goes. I mean, I think if things are all good and stuff like that, I'm sure people will want to do more Dogman. It's just too early to say yet. Yeah, so I don't know. Undetermined. Still petting this dog. Basically, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Peter. Friends, Dogman is out now digitally, so you can buy it, watch it at home, watch it with your family. I know we're gonna probably end up watching it a couple hundred times because it's such a fun movie.
And there are a
And
million Easter eggs in this movie, by the way.
yes, yes, I think I did see
Yeah.
the Two-Boat Herald and somewhere
There's
there.
so much stuff. It's crazy. Yeah.
But thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll talk again when Dogman 2 comes out.
Okay,
Hopefully,
thank you.
fingers crossed.
All right.
Bye.